During your chess battles, you have to keep your eyes open for key moments. One example of a key moment is taking the initiative. And this is a key moment for black. Notice the position of white's queen and king.
I got you. If the knight reaches the e3 square, it will deliver a fork. But what if white does not allow it?
If white captures the knight, then black will recapture, delivering check. For example, in this position, the king on g2 is exposed. Black takes advantage of weak squares. Now what you want to do is set your target and remove your opponent's defenders. The knight on c3 was defending the d5 square. So now black controls both diagonals. Again, keep the momentum going. Black now looks for knockout blows. A knockout blow. And now another one. Rook takes the knight on e4. Exchange sacrifice. And you're gonna see why. And this is why it's so important to get your pieces developed quickly. Get your pieces posted onto key squares.
So basically, what you're saying is players must consider the strengths and weaknesses of each piece.
That's right. And it's the middle game which makes chess truly complex. In this position, how did black get the better placed pieces? How did he build an attack and stop the opponent's plan? There's only one way that white can answer the check, and that's to interpose with the queen, and queen takes g2 is checkmate. Welcome to the Chess Training Boot Camp. Welcome to Chess Assassins channel. And today's lesson is keeping your eyes open for key moments, but the subtopic is making the position conform to your will. And just to give us something to work with, I will be using the Kali system, which is not an opening but a system for white. So have your chessboard and your pen and pad ready. This system for white consists of pawns on c3, d4, and e3. The bishop occupies the b1 to h7 diagonal. The idea is to place the knight on b1 to d2 with a future goal of pushing the e3 pawn to e4.
So, what is the main focus of the video lesson?
Throughout the course of this video, keep in mind that the focus is not on the opening. Don't spend all your time on openings, but the concepts and the strategic ideas. Think about it this way. A mechanic has tools. The purpose of having a tool is to give you something to work with. And once you get past the opening, the chessboard in your mind becomes your book. So, let's get to the lesson. The main idea for white in the opening is to try and push e4. However, black causes white some problems. The barricade of pawns on c6, d5, and e6 makes it very difficult for white to play e4. Take a look at the board. Notice that black now controls the e4 square. So, white's setup is not a fixed line of play, but rather a system for white, in which the move order must be adjusted according to the opponent's line of play. So what I'm going to do is take you back to move 1, and I'm going to show you problems that you may face when playing this system. 3, C5, C3. Two main choices here for black are bishop G4 and E6. We look at bishop G4. Now you're probably thinking that knight on B to D2 is the move to make, but actually a good move here is pawn on D4 captures the pawn on C5. This was played in the game. If knight on B to D2 is played right away, then E6, Queen B3, Queen C7, Knight E5. Now the move played in the game was Knight to C6. The move for black to play here is Bishop to H5. And then after this, black can go for this. Knight on B to D7. Knight takes, and then after E4, queen side castle, king side castle. So we have opposite wing castling. Pawn to C4, queen C2. Now black's play is attacking white's king side, H3. And this is why bishop to H5 was a good play. Now the bishop gets a home on the D3 square. And the game could proceed with Queen G4. Take a look at black's king. Right now the king is attempting to castle by hand. Secondly, black plans to try and get the queens off the board to squeeze a win out of the endgame. And if white avoids the queen trade, then black will just continue to attack the king side, bring the queen over to the king side, to white's king side, adding more pressure, and may even have ideas such as playing the G pawn to G5. There's a rook there. Rook to G4 may be a plan, followed by pawn to G5. And this is the complexity of lines and continuations. So you have to ask yourself, what can white do to counter black's plans? And in this position, black is winning. So, what was white's problem in the previous example? Well, first you have to understand that the Kali system takes a strategic approach to meeting the goal of board domination. When you play the pawn to D4 and the knight to F3, followed by pawns to c3 and e3, you are forming a solid structure that is known as restrained piece development. The light square bishop is placed either on d3 or e2, and the knight on b1 is generally played to d2. Take a look at the board. Notice that white captured black's pawn on c5. Why such an early capture? Because white's system of development is based on the following ideas. Number one, fortify your own position, while two, anticipating and preventing your opponent's counterplay. And lastly, three, build up positional pressure and gradually improve your position. White typically castles kingside. Now that white's pieces are solidly placed, it is time for operations. Kicking the knight from the e5 square. Also, white will follow up by advancing the pawn on c3 to c4, which will open up the fianchetto bishop. White's forward progression of pawns seeks to create some central tension.
Oh yeah? Well, what's black's counterplay in this position?
Black's counterplay consists of applying pressure to your queenside pawns. For starters, the two main continuations from here are a5 captures pawn on b4, or the pawn on b6 captures the pawn on c5. Let's take a look at this final example. We're going to look at a takes b4 first, and the line continues with the recapture on b4, b takes c5, and bishop to e5. Queen b7, b takes c5, queen b4, c takes d5, a trade of rooks on a1, knight to d5, a trade of dark square bishops, and knight to f3. And now we're going to look at the pawn on b6 captures the pawn on c5, and the line goes bishop to e5, queen b6, pawn to b5, e6, a4, rook on f to e8, d8, queen c3, pawn to d4, queen a3, rook on ac8, a to d1, knight h5, bishop captures bishop on g7, king recaptures on g7, king h2, and so far that is the end of the line. Thank you for watching. If you like the Kali system, or if you would like to get more details or delve deeper into the opening, explore, you can do so on your own. I've just given you an introduction basically, and I provided you with a few pointers here or there, But thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for my next video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.